Hi, and welcome to an interview with one of our wonderful Northwest VA conference speakers. Today, we're going to be chatting with Paula Cohen from Taylory Coaching, who is going to be joining us on the Thursday afternoon. I think your first session.
I think so.
I think you are first session on the Thursday. Yeah, so no pressure. Yeah, definitely. And we're really excited to welcome Paula back. I think Paula joined us in 2019, which was the last one we had, obviously, before the pandemic, which was fantastic. And as always, Paula gave absolutely brilliant session, loads of tips, and there was loads of little things that people went away with. And when we asked for feedback, I actually read through a couple of weeks ago. And one of Paula's tips was one of the main things on the feedback forms that came through, which was great. And it was about don't sell. It was just about don't sell. And it was quite prominent. There must have been a phrase that you used. And now for the life of me, I can't remember what it was. But there was a specific phrase that you used with them. And at least on about 4 or 5 people, when we say, what did you take away? It was the don't sell on your social posts and things like that, because none of us really want to be sold to. We know that we need something, and that there are certain people that we want to work with, but it's not about just going out and selling, because it just kind of flattens the mood, doesn't it?
It was probably about stop selling and help people to buy.
That's it. Yeah, help people to buy. Yeah, we do. But we don't like to be sold to.
We hate being sold to.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, help them to buy. Yeah. So yeah, really excited for this year and to see what you've got in store for us this year. But on each interview that I'll do with all of our wonderful speakers, I'll just give a little couple of minutes and a couple of lines on why it's important, I think, for making sure that we future-proof our business, especially at the moment. Obviously, so many things have happened over the last couple of years. And I'm sure with most people, I felt that I was in a really good place, probably up to the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. I was almost 10 years in business and everything was going great. Obviously, hit those little peaks and troughs of just normal things. But at the start, and obviously we went into lockdown. And then at the beginning of 2021, what are we in now? 22. The beginning of 2022. I naturally had a couple of contracts finish, and but it was quite a large chunk of my monthly income. Had some associates that took over clients because we were working with them predominantly, and a couple of contracts that just came to an end naturally. But I really hadn't future-proofed my business and really wasn't prepared for that. And it probably took me a good 6 to 7 months to even build up a percentage of that income back, because I hadn't been networking, I hadn't been going onto social media as much, hadn't been visible. We'd had an online conference in 2020, and 2021 we had a conference, but people were a little bit not sure if to attend or not. And then last year we had another online one. So kind of all of those things. And then obviously at the back end of last year, they announced that we were in a cost of living crisis and everything started to go up, and it just seemed a bit of a nightmare. And I just thought then that this year is the perfect opportunity for us to really look at what can we implement and what can we put in place to make sure that we do future-proof and we protect everything that we've worked for. For businesses that have been there for a long time, and I considered it at 9 years being in business for a long time and still do. But also for people that are starting out on the journey, especially as a VA, when we've had a massive influx following the pandemic and people leaving their jobs. I think it's really important for those people as well to make sure that at the beginning they put the right steps in place and they have the foundations there that they can protect and they can start to build without thinking, well, what if this happens? So let's put everything in place. That's why I've connected with all the speakers that we've got this year, because I feel that all of them bring something really crucial to that planning and preparation stage that really can help and support, especially VAs, on making sure they future-proof the business, which is where Paula comes in. So do you want to give us a little bit of an introduction, Paula, into what you do for those that didn't come last time or maybe don't follow you on social media yet? Give them a little bit of an introduction to what you do.
Yes, so I am a business coach, which primarily means that I work with people who are fabulous at what they do. They're generally hugely committed to delivering massive value and brilliant service to their own clients. But what it often means is that they tend to get a bit kind of bamboozled or weighed down by the 18 billion things that go into building a business. And they often can't find the time, the energy, or the focus to concentrate on their own growth ideas because they're so dedicated to their clients. So I work with people, I do planning workshops, I run a small ongoing mastermind group, and I work with people through one-to-one coaching as well to essentially help people get their strategy absolutely clear and then pin down the action plan and then actually turn the plan to reality, which is often the hardest part. So yeah, that's in a nutshell what I do, and I've been doing it now for 14 years, I think it is.
Wow.
I know, it makes me feel old when I say that, actually.
I wouldn't say old, just experienced, maybe.
Wise.
Yeah, wise, definitely. Yeah, definitely. So obviously your session, we've got the title of, and I'm just looking at the website now, we've got the title of How to Create a Growth Plan Even When Times Are Tough, which is obviously perfect for really what we're looking at and what we're going to be thinking about. There's probably a couple of things that we've already spoken about that you're probably going to focus on, and it's a full-on 1.5-hour interactive session, which is really what we love. And I love for all of the attendees to really get involved, it's not only just thinking about what you think you need to do, but when we're sat on those round tables and we're discussing with each other, getting ideas from everybody else. And I always try to make sure that all of our sessions have always been interactive. And there's never been any sessions where you've literally just been sat or stood on your own doing something.
No, I always think the sign of a really good session with something like this is you want to learn from the people that are speaking in the room, but you also want that opportunity to interact and share ideas. And so often what you get from other people there, whether it's snippets or insights or just examples of how they're working, and sometimes it just clarifies for you that your thinking actually is right. So you should, at a great event, you get so much value from the other people in the room as well. Definitely.
And in the past we've had a couple of people that have said, oh, it's a room full of VAs, there's got to be some competition, and why would I say what I'm struggling with? And if anybody is watching this and has got any doubts, please reach out and speak to any attendee that's been at any of our conferences, and we'll put you in touch with anybody. That it really isn't about that. And I know the whole collaboration, not competition thing is quite a cliche, but it really, really isn't. And I, for one, am a massive advocate for sharing, probably a little bit too much.
And when you talk about building resilience into your business and future-proofing, having a solid network and people that you can bounce ideas off, occasionally have a rant to, other people that get it, because sometimes it's quite challenging if people in your family or friends network aren't running their own business. They don't always get how absolutely all-consuming it can be. So a really good network and other people that you can bounce ideas off and share the highs and the lows with can be absolutely pivotal.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Excellent. So do you want to just give us a little bit of a brief and an intro into your session and what people can expect to get out of it then?
Yeah, and I guess the title we talked about is Building a Growth Plan Even When Times Are Tough. And I think we're kind of on the back of, in some ways, it would be easy to think the last few years have almost been hit after hit after hit. You had the big stuff first about Brexit, but we weren't quite sure what that meant, and then was that going to bring recession? And then they eventually started doing something with it, but we weren't sure what. Then obviously we had the huge hit of COVID. Then you get the cost of living crisis, and you get the war that's having an impact, and all sorts of talks of recession. So it's kind of easy at the moment to feel as though there's never a sort of downtime, a calm time. But I think the key thing is if you're being proactive in your business and you're future focused, then you're far more likely to be calm and resilient and not to feel those massive peaks and troughs, and not to feel that your business gets dictated to by circumstances, but you actually put yourself back in control and you can be much more proactive about it. So that's the crux of what we're talking about, is how to create a business that's calm, consistent, steady, reliable, a lot more predictable and easier to forecast. So we're going to do quite a meaty session actually, talking about forecasting your income. And it's an interesting area, this, because I often find a lot of people will flinch from this. Lots of people kind of say, oh, I don't really do the numbers, or I don't enjoy the numbers, or, you know, I didn't go into business to do the numbers. Some people love it, in fairness. But what I actually find is uncertainty around the numbers, or when you don't really understand how to forecast them or what kind of things to plan or to think about, that uncertainty in itself can be a really big source of stress. And I find that when people hide from the numbers, they're actually more likely to have underlying anxiety and uncertainty. And sometimes if you forecast your income and you recognize that there is a gap in it at some point, it's interesting how it can still feel a lot more positive to know what that gap is, because then you know exactly what you need to do to fill it, rather than sticking your head in the sand and just kind of assuming everything will be all right. Because in those circumstances, even though you think you're all right and you're being optimistic, there is a real underlying level of stress. And that stress can then come through into things like conversations with potential customers, or you might inadvertently find yourself coming across as a little bit needy or just smelling slightly desperate. Whereas when you've got that control and that clarity, you just feel so much more confident moving forwards. And actually, once you get into the nitty-gritty of understanding how to forecast your income and playing around with what that income might look like if your clients were slightly different, or if your services were slightly different, or if you put your prices up, it's quite fascinating what sort of thoughts it can give you about actually how to push on with your business. And as I say, the big thing is it just makes you feel really empowered and in control. So we'll get kind of hands-on with a bit of that. I'm always a very big, my thing at sessions like this is, what I don't want people to go away with is 18 billion pages of notes and the knowledge that at some point they're going to have to try and do something with it. So I'll be absolutely looking to get people kind of hands-on in the thick of it, so you can absolutely take away some lessons and some practical exercises straight away. Because I'm the same. I've been to those events where I've got a million pages of notes, they look amazing, they're beautifully well organized, and I have another look at them in 3.5 years' time and do nothing with them.
Or the next time, I think I've done it before, and then the next conference that I've gone to, I've thought, oh, better look back on that, because it's I think it's that key thing that you said of putting yourself back in control. And I've worked with you before as a coach, and I know that there are things that I struggle with. Basically, it's because, and it's the old adage of, I take on everything for the clients and I do everything for them, and I never ever give myself time to work on my business. And I don't see myself as a business that needs attention and needs dealing with. And that's a really big thing for me that I know I have to work a lot on. And acknowledging that, I think, and recognizing that that's a problem for me. It's either then something that I need to do, or it's something that I need to get somebody else to help me with. And I've worked through this, and we're going to do an interview with Bex Bates from Social Media Executive, who runs Social Flock. And as me being a part of a Social Flock now, and one of the founder members with Bex, I turn up to the events and the meetings that we have. And on a Monday, it's social media content writing. And I have to make myself do that. Because otherwise I won't write anything, and I won't post anything. So I have to find time to put myself back in control. And the numbers things is a scary thing. I don't want to know what the numbers are, but I know I have to do it.
And I think lots of people are in that same boat as you, Jo. And I've lost my train of thought now. What was the other thing? Oh, about putting clients first. Because the very nature of what you do is you're kind of a support service, and lots of people have done it because they're motivated to help other people, and they love that whole, let me get into the nitty-gritty of my clients and really support them. And then, of course, it's the client's got an emergency, so my own plans are out of the window. And the simplest tip that I so often give to people in that position is to think of yourself as your own most important client. Because if you put something in your diary, whether it's manage my numbers, write my own website, create my marketing, if that was a client appointment in your diary, you would absolutely never cancel it because something else has come up.
You're
but
right.
Your own stuff, a client wants something, so you drop your own stuff quickly. So treat yourself as a client, and sometimes that can help you to shift that mind frame. Yeah.
Oh, I totally agree. Totally agree. So I think really the other couple of points really just fell in with that anyway, of well, secrets to retaining your best clients long term. I think if you are able to understand your business, which includes the numbers, then your best clients will be those clients that as you said before, that you understand, that you want to work with, that you like to work with. It is totally all about understanding all the different levels of your business, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think actually COVID was a very interesting time here. In one of the big differences that you saw through COVID was typically people who lost a lot of clients quickly didn't necessarily have strong, deep relationships with those clients. They typically had slightly more transactional relationships. So that gave a real insight into the importance of building relationships and real understanding with clients, and two-way respect as well. You know, being actually seen as somebody who is a key partner in the business, not just a supplier. Making sure that that is a real partnership and a real collaboration is the type of thing that will help those clients to stay on long term. So managing those relationships is really key to also managing that consistency within your business. So we will talk about how to really build those relationships so your long clients stick around.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what we all want, really. And we all want some, it's just making sure that it's security, isn't it, really? And that leads into your numbers as well, because it means that your numbers are a lot more secure.
Definitely. And you see, the power of the numbers is also in actively forecasting when you expect to lose a client, because we all know that clients come and go, and even though we're the best supplier in the world, some of them are so ungrateful that they don't stay forever. But when you get a bit of a picture for a client typically stays with me for X amount of time, you can forecast that into your income. So you can forecast, actually, I probably lose a client typically every May and every September. But when you plan that in, that tells you way in advance, I need to be thinking about the next client and the next client, and I can't just rest on my laurels.
Definitely.
But also then with thinking about resilience and thinking about client relationships, one of the ways it's actually quite easy to damage your business, and surprisingly easy to damage your business, is to keep hold of crap clients, for want of a better phrase. The clients that aren't that brilliant and perhaps don't appreciate you, that don't really want to treat you as an absolute partner. They do just see you as a bit of a minion. Because those are the clients who will drop you when anything happens, and they'll drop you quickly and without notice, and can kind of kick the legs out from under you. So understanding who are those clients that you currently work with that perhaps are not quite the right fit, and working to actively replace those in advance, rather than hoping they stick around and then having a bit of a panic when they've gone to try and replace them. So it's all very much about forward planning and future thinking, and building that consistency right throughout the business.
That's really, really great tips. And I think that will be on the Friday morning in my session. I'll be looking a little bit again about those kind of clients and the clients that we want to work with. So there's a lot, we always put a lot of emphasis on who is your ideal target client, and we look a lot at the client, but what we don't do is look at what do actually we want out of the business.
Totally.
So what do we want? What do we not want to do? Who would we not want to work for? So all of that you just said, those that don't respect you, that don't treat you as an equal, because ultimately I see myself as a business owner equal to that other business owner. But who identifying what that is and what that means to you then means that you then know even in more detail who you do want to work with, because you know who you don't want to work with. So I think that's vital.
Question. It's a really key question. Who do I not want to work with? And it's easy to sometimes feel that that's almost arrogant and egotistical to ask the question, or that you've got ideas above your station. But I would always look at that as saying there are specific people I don't want to work with, and actually that means I'm not the right person for them, and that's okay. So actually having clarity on that is positive for them as well as for you. It's not just about being an egomaniac, it's finding the right fit for both parties.
Exactly, because there's so many other things in our lives that we say, no, I don't want to do that, and I don't want to, I don't want to do skydiving, and I don't want to do bungee jumping, and just because somebody might pay me to do it, I'm not going to do it. So
and you know, there's a really basic factor in it as well, in that sometimes when somebody says, who's your ideal client, who do you really want to work with, sometimes it's quite hard to narrow it down, because whether it's just a case that you aren't quite experienced enough in your business to have refined it, or whether it's just the fact that you're in that mindset that says, oh, I love to help everybody. It can be quite difficult to answer that question. Whereas often if you say, but who do you not want to work with, or what sort of clients don't you want, that's often easier to answer. So even just asking it can help you answer the question about who is it you do want to work with.
Definitely. And we'll definitely explore on the Friday morning. Brilliant. We're definitely going to explore that, because it takes, like you say, it takes people a long time, because you think, well, who is it? And you always have exercises where you say, well, draw your ideal client, and where do you do? And I know that my ideal clients, I know now, and the work that I want to do, it's not a specific task, and it's not a specific industry. It's just people that are like me, that probably women that like to go out for lunch, that like a gin, that give me the autonomy to be able to support their business as it was my own. So that is a completely different way of looking at what your niche is and who you want to work with. So I'm excited to do that, but this is not my session. This is your session.
It's all right. Well, we don't mind a bit of reflecting stuff on you here, Jo, because you're actually really, really bad at standing yourself in the limelight. So and you have pushed me this time to make sure that I speak, so I'm quite looking forward to getting up and speaking to everybody. So that's great, I think. And there's obviously so much that people are going to get from this session, I think, and they need to I think people need to come prepared with an open mind, not be afraid to think, well, I don't want to talk about numbers, and I don't want to talk about, let's just do it. It's a safe space. There's no judgment. There's nobody's going to be, we're not going to make anybody stand up and say, well, what do your numbers look like? It's totally you, but it's about embracing what other people might be able to assist you with and support you with, listening to your tips and advice, and putting some plans in place that they can then go away and say, right, I'm going to allocate myself, even half an hour a morning just to look at stuff and make some notes. And we can all do that. We can all find time to do that. Absolutely.
Brilliant. Excellent. Well, thank you very much. I'm gonna obviously I'm going to get this out before the end of the week. So either Thursday or Friday. I'll share it across YouTube. We'll post it everywhere, and everyone will get access to it. And it's not long now. Not long. I think what are we, about 2 months away?
Just remind us of the date, Jo.
15th of June.
And how can people book?
So people can book through joannehawkins.co.uk website, and wherever I share this, I'll put the links in the comments. But it's a Thursday, the 15th of June, and I think it's 12 o'clock registration. So we've got 2 interactive sessions on the Thursday with yourself and Lucy Rennie. Then we've got the lovely informal dinner at the Village Hotel, and then the Friday is a kind of almost all day. It's registration at 9, and we probably aim to finish at about 2:30, let everybody get away for the weekend. There's another 4 sessions on the Friday, which is the most we've done in quite a long time, I think.
Brilliant.
So we've got loads. Everybody will get loads from it. The
value.
I'll get this out before the end of the week, because the pay in 3 option ends on Friday night at the end of this month. So this will definitely be out before that ends. If you're watching this post the 31st of March, you've missed the deadline for the pay in 3. So make sure that you do it before. But we'll share links and everything, and your all of your Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere as well. So thank you so much, Paul. I'm really looking forward to you being there again. Can't wait. Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jo.